President Donald Trump said Thursday there have been good signals coming out of Russia regarding a U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine, and he offered guarded optimism about Russian President Vladimir Putin's statement that he agrees in principle with the proposal. According to Assosicted Press, speaking to reporters during an Oval Office meeting with NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte, Trump reiterated that he stood ready to speak with Putin and underscored that it was time to end the war. Putin put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete, Trump said Thursday at the start of the meeting with Rutte. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there. And if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
We're going to be discussing a lot of things. Obviously, we'll be discussing what's happening with respect to Ukraine and Russia. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others. And they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire, and we hope Russia will do the same. Thousands of people are being killed, young people, usually, mostly. Young people, we're just talking about it. Thousands of young people are being killed a week, and we want to see that stop. And we have to get this war over with, and you'll be back to a normal, much more normal life, and maybe we're close. We're getting words that things are going okay in Russia, and it doesn't mean anything until we hear what the final outcome is. But they have very serious discussions going on right now with President Putin and others, and hopefully they all want to end this nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a horrible thing. So we hopefully are going to be in a good position sometime today to have a good idea. We'll have, we know where we are with Ukraine, and we are getting good signals outside of Russia as to where we are with Russia. And hopefully they'll do the right thing. It's really humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about the money. But then you add the money to it, and, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily. It should have never happened.
On Russia.
Sorry. Steve Witkoff's trip to Moscow, you spoke about it. What sort of agreement do you hope he comes away from it with?
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia. And we have, you know, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost, and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, you know, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant, and who's going to get this and that? And so, you know, it's not an easy process. But phase one is the ceasefire. A lot of the individual subjects have been discussed, though. You know, we've been discussing concepts of land because you don't want to waste time with a ceasefire if it's not going to mean anything. So we're saying, look, this is what you can get, this is what you can't get. They discussed NATO and being in NATO, and everybody knows what the answer to that is. They've known that answer for 40 years, in all fairness. So a lot of the details of a final agreement have actually been discussed. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world. Yeah.
Vladimir Putin just said he is open to a ceasefire, but he does still have some concerns. He suggested that you two should speak directly. Do you have plans to speak to him soon? If so, when are you confident you can get this across the table?
Sure. He did say that today. It was a very promising statement because other people are saying different things, and you don't know if they have anything to really, if they have any meaning, or I don't know. I think some of them were making statements. I don't think they have anything to do with it. No, he put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him. But we have to get it over with fast. You know, every day people are being killed. It's not like, as we sit here, 2 people will be killed. Think of it. 2 people are going to be killed during this little period of time. Thousands of people a week are dying. So we really don't have very much time. We have to make this fast. It shouldn't be very complicated.
Russia is not interested in a temporary ceasefire, but insists on a long-term settlement. Assistant to the President of the Russian Federation Yuri Ushakov announced this on the air Russia 1. According to him, the temporary truce is only a respite for the Ukrainian army. He noted that he conveyed this position in a conversation with U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Russia believes that such a step will not solve the problem, but will only give the Ukrainian side the opportunity to regroup its forces and continue military operations. Moscow insists on finding a sustainable solution that will ensure security and stability in the region. Yuri Ushakov noted that a normal exchange of opinions, in a calm manner, continues between Russia and the United States. He emphasized that dialogue is important, but the parties have not yet reached agreement on key issues. The day before, U.S. Congressman Mike Waltz called the Russian presidential aide to discuss agreements with Kyiv. However, the details of the conversation were not disclosed. Also, the Washington Post reports that an analytical center close to the FSB has prepared a package of maximalist demands for the Kremlin, including recognition of Russian-occupied territories, a demilitarized zone in the southern regions of Ukraine, and the dismantling of the Kiev regime. Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov said that the Kremlin was not aware of such recommendations, but admitted that some of these proposals had already been raised by the Russian authorities. The ceasefire proposals come amid ongoing fighting and casualties on both sides. But Russia insists that any talks must be aimed at achieving long-term peace rather than temporary measures. Recall, a week and a half after Volodymyr Zelensky's disastrous meeting with Donald Trump, Kiev appears to have re-established a constructive dialogue with Washington. Ukraine's agreement to a 30-day cessation of hostilities has resulted in the U.S. resuming military supplies and sharing intelligence. Kyiv is also happy about these agreements because it has made it possible to break the narrative that Ukraine does not want the war to end. This is what the Kremlin has been constantly talking about, and more recently, the White House. Russia's defense ministry announced Thursday it has taken over Sudza, the biggest town in the Kursk region that has been overrun by Ukrainian forces since the surprise cross-border offensive in August 2024. According to Associated Press, the announcement comes as Russian troops are close to driving out Ukrainian troops from their last foothold in the Kursk region. Asked about when Russian troops are expected to drive the Ukrainian forces out of the Kursk region, Peskov said that there is no doubt that the Kursk region will be liberated quite soon. Peskov also said Thursday that U.S. negotiators were en route to Russia, but he wouldn't comment on Moscow's stance. Before the talks start, and they haven't started yet, it would be wrong to talk about it in public, he said. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova confirmed that Russian and U.S. delegations might have contacts on Thursday, adding that Russia is ready to discuss the initiatives proposed during the meeting between Ukrainian and U.S. delegations in Saudi Arabia.
Никаких нет сомнений, что достаточно скоро Курская область будет освобождена. Действительно, переговорщики летят, и действительно контакты запланированы. Контакты уже были. Вчера был телефонный разговор Волца и Ушакова. Определенная информация была российской стороне предоставлена. До того, как эти переговоры начались, а они еще не начались, давайте не забывать, было бы неверным сотрясать, так сказать, небеса и говорить об этом публично.
Мы внимательно следили за состоявшейся 11 марта в Джиде встречей представителей США и Украины. Мы ознакомились с принятым по ее итогам заявлением, в котором содержатся разные идеи. На данный момент никаких официальных обращений к нам на этот счет не поступало. Со своей стороны будем готовы обсудить изложенные там инициативы в ходе будущих контактов с американской стороной. Также могу сказать, что такие контакты возможны уже сегодня.